Hello and welcome back to the show. And I'm sure I have always wondered, you turn on the radio every morning and there's us always screaming, and, a great percentage of it is, party politics, bickering, and then there was the court case and everything. And you wonder that what example are we teaching the youth whom eventually, you hand the country over to? Are they seeing us as, a really talking generation who are good for nothing? Have they copied our bad habits and thinking that, well, when it gets to our turn, we're even going to talk more than they are? Or they're going to say, no, we're going to do things differently. With me in the studio, and I start again from my extreme left, is Prince. Yeah, I have Prince Amponsa Safori, who is a sociology student at level 400. In the middle is Nana Ofori Kari, dental surgery student level 100. So I have a toothache, and I'm sure by the time she goes, she'll give me, just basic toothache. It's not level 400 toothache, so I'm sure you can sort me out. And then with my immediate left is Ernest Ayikumi, who's doing animal biology. And we're just going to discuss how they see the nation, the economy, in their view, rather than the normal proverbial political view. And I start with you. When I say the ruling class, I'm not pinpointing any particular party or anything, but I'm just looking at the state and institutions and the organization that are supposed to look after us. Unfortunately, at every given time, there's a gatekeeper. So it is their responsibility to make things work, even though they did not cause it. So I am not sort of attacking anyone as such. But when I say, how do you see, the ruling class? Do you think, well, they're doing their best and we're going on, or you think, no, they could have done better? In your dormitories, what is the discussion?
Well, for students, we're always talking and we have a lot to talk about. But pertaining to this issue, we normally sometimes shift blame here and there, but then, we can't do that here. But generally, in everybody's perception, there's always room for improvement. But here's the case where it kind of looks like nothing is really going on for it to be improved, if you get what I mean. It's like everything is kind of running down per se, because it's like everybody wants something from the system, but it's not putting anything back in the system. And so it's like everybody's just pulling out and pulling out. And if you do that, then you tend to run the system down. And so you don't give anything and you expect a lot from it. So that's basically what goes on when we talk.
Nana, you're fortunate because you are going to be a dentist. So however bad the ruling class is, it probably won't affect you. They're still waiting out there for you so that they can probably get you a job. You can start pulling teeth out, so you are probably immune from all our situations. Or what is the conversation?
We also think that it doesn't look like it will affect us in any ways. But then in the long run, it is going to affect us adversely. Because here we have the problem for salaries. Mm-hmm. Every time doctors are going on strike, those in the medical field are always going on strike because they think that they are being cheated in their salary area. And it's like we are working and we are always working and we don't get much allowances and all that. And so in the long run, it is going to affect us adversely if we take a look at it very well.
Prince, I'm happy, you're seeing that, no, maybe things could have been better than it is. However, in these same universities, you, the young ones, meddle more in the politics even than the older ones. And so it's like we are grooming you to be, probably worse than what we are doing. I don't know.
Yeah. First of all, let me say good evening to our viewers. When it comes to politics and leadership, people are put in leadership positions to help the less privileged in society. But here's the case, those who are put there try to look after themselves, their friends and families, before thinking about the less privileged in society. Yeah. Currently, the system is very difficult because nothing is working. Nothing seems to be working. Yeah, there's no money in the system. Everybody's complaining, just like that. So I don't really know what is going on. Yeah.
No, let me put that question to you. You know your SRC, and you want to, elect an SRC leader, and sometimes it's worse than the Kenyans, trying to elect, a president, or the Nigerians trying to. I mean, sometimes, it's a do or die business, and then you hear that the NDC is supporting this guy, the NPP is supporting this guy, and so it's like, even at that level, it has started before you come out of university. I mean, you are in the schools, and how do you see it?
I think people are brainwashed earlier at homes before they come to school. So then everybody has the perception of where he or she is going. And yes, most of the people in authority are, should I say, party biased. Mm-hmm. So then if I see this person and I know his father, where he's from, I know that definitely in their family, maybe on tribal basis, maybe he's an, how should I say, it's an Akan, or maybe an Ewe. And I know this party is strictly for this position, this should I say, tribe. Mm-hmm. So definitely they are going to follow that person and like stand behind the person and push the person, so that definitely the person gets to where they want the person to be. And then in that case, they start operating on that level, so that then it doesn't have to be, should I say, I operate maybe party, MP, no. Even in school and in small places, they get to put their things in place.
It's dangerous though, because you would think that going through university and reading and knowing that, Martin Luther says, unless, the color of a man's eyes is not significant, like, if you go through all that and you still look at tribal lines and political lines, then we might be doing something wrong in terms of not probably educating you properly, or why is this so ingrained?
Well, as Nana said, I mean, some things are probably from home. We go to school, we go through education, elementary school, through high school, to college, and we learn a lot of stuff. But most of these things, I think, are probably inherent, because it's been running through the system for a while now. And so no matter what you tell people or what people get to see or understand, it still seems like people are still in that direction. Sometimes they're not to blame, because, for instance, you are put in a position, and that's not your aim or your decision. You've not decided to, embezzle funds or do stuff, but you're getting a lot of pressure from, those behind you, or those who you're supposed to look after. Your family people are like, so and so is doing this, and you've decided not to. How come? We're suffering. What's going on? Let's, have some of that coming our way. And so sometimes it's just not their fault, but, it just keeps eating at them, so they just have to dip their hands in there.
And so how will your generation make a difference?
Our generation is looking forward to, eliminating these things, in the sense that, as of now, you form more committees, or you involve more people, where it's not just one person making all the decisions, but you have a group or a panel where people sit down and decide that, okay, I think this is right. Somebody says, I think this is right. And so in that sense, all these things cannot really take place, because everybody comes in with their own idea, and so people will argue things out, and in the end, most often, either the right thing comes out or nothing comes out at all, and so it won't happen. If not, then I think our generation might even be worse, because here's a case where you're in school and you realize people are doing things up there, and you look at it and you're like, okay, and it's working out for them. I mean, our system, everything is getting more expensive and stuff, and money is not coming in. So if I get there and I do the same thing, I'll be well off. So why not? So it's either we put in certain things. I'm saying, as we form these panels, committees, we have people coming up with different ideas, people putting their thoughts together, and so in that way we get things moving smoothly.
Prince, as far as you go to school and you go to lectures, the input you're getting from the lectures, do you find it's practical to what it is outside there, or do you think your references are too much with Wilberforce in 75, or some German guy with some white beard in 1946, and all research. You don't get research closer to home. I personally find that sometimes it's just too disconnected from reality. I don't know what the story is for you. I mean, you're doing sociology, right?
Yeah. If I get it right, currently our education is not training us to get what we really want to do in the future. It's all round. That's how I say it. So after school, you see people going to different fields rather than what they've been doing at school. Now I'm doing sociology and social work. Yeah, after school, I don't know where I'm really going. Not because I don't know, but because the jobs are not there as to what I'm doing in school. So when I finish, I probably have to go to another field and do something. So
what career path would you have wanted to choose?
I would have loved to enter into politics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So maybe sociology, learning about people in the society, and learning about society itself, how it affects the life of the people. I think it's in line with politics.
But they will consume you, and so you won't be able to, even with the best of intentions, they will consume you. How can you make a difference with these hungry wolves who, winner takes all system? Are you not going to say, oh, let's share it and give everybody else some? They're not going to take it.
I don't think I'll go that path, because looking at Ghanaian society, you see that people are suffering. Leaders are put there to look back and take care of the people, but rather they try to do other things and just trying to amass wealth, build houses, buy cars, and live luxurious lives, leaving the people at the countryside. Right now, when you go to the countryside and you look at their roads, the water they drink and everything, is very, very pathetic. But the leaders don't care. They don't care because much of the people are illiterate. They don't even know what to do. They can't read and write, so all they know is the party colors that they put on. So they forget how to put the people, the leaders on their toes, right? Today, PPP had a demonstration, and I learned the number was very, very few. I sit in the dormitory and I said to myself, why? People are not concerned. They don't even, I don't know whether they don't know what is going on or they don't want to talk about it, but they just leave everything just like that. And I think it's very, very worrying. Yeah.
No, see, we run a system where every 4 years, whether you're doing good or not, depending on how we vote, you stay or you go. Now, there are people who are going to vote purely on the basis because, well, I like the way he looks, so I'm going to go and vote. And maybe this individual might not be suitable. Sometimes in a particular time in any history, it's not that you're a bad person, but maybe we are at the point where we need a business-minded person to push us, or we are at the point where we need a very strong person to push us, and somebody's going to vote on the basis of looks, right? And that's what we have chosen. In your generation, I mean, would you want to say, look, let's keep this guy in longer so that, he gets things done, or every 4 years you're going to kick him out because it means he can only work 2 years, and then 1 year to campaign, 1 year to form a government, 2 years, your generation, I mean, are you thinking of different lines, or you think we just can modify or better this system that we have?
I think basically what Ghanaians vote for, we the elites don't really have a say in it, because it's usually the illiterates. Now when you go outside there, they don't listen to the manifestos of these people. No, they don't. Usually it's the people giving them money.
I don't blame them. I haven't read any manifesto. So I mean, how can I even blame them?
Yeah, we all do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried looking online one time for manifesto, and I went over and over and over, and I could hardly find a manifesto. So, I mean, I'll let you continue.
And so it's like, I know what I'm going to get from this person. Even if the person is not nice, I know that definitely, in the long run, some money or some food substance or something will come to me. Like when MPP was campaigning, before MPP got their flag bearer, between Nana Akufo-Addo and Alan Cash, it it was surprising that Nana Akufo-Addo won, because most people were all Alan Cash, Alan Cash, Alan Cash. And why Alan Cash? Because Alan Cash is sharing money. And that was their mentality. And it was by God's grace that Nana Akufo-Addo won. And that one cry was a runoff. So then it was something that, and Alan Tremanten was like, he should take it. We get it. And it's like, even we sitting here don't read the manifesto. How much more the illiterates? How do we expect them to read it? And if they don't read it, like, definitely I'm going to vote because I see you, you are nice, and you can give me money. So definitely I'll put my thumbprint there for you. I say, okay, here he can take it. I don't care what he can do in the long run, but I know that definitely I'm going to get something little out of this. So then I give it to him. And our generation, I don't think we care about it. Because right now it's all fun and we are going here, and it's this program and it's that program. And most of us are not politically oriented. We don't think about the economy. And we hear somebody complaining like, oh, one of those things, and then we leave it and brush it off. They don't care about such things at all. I think it's a problem to us. How he said we are supposed to form committees and the rest. Getting people to do that will be very difficult. And I don't know how we are going to do that. Maybe he can start a campaign or something to get something like that. Even when PPP did the demonstration today and it was only 200 people, how many people in this whole country are going to sit down and try to form a committee to make things better? Some things are there, they are, should I say, thinkable, but then in practicality and reality, we can't do it. That's my opinion.
Our hopes are on your generation, because it looks as if, you know, the generation in control of the country now, sort of, we're just talking, you know, we talk about everything, we have all the big ideas, and we are hoping that your generation will come and everything that we've talked about, you will implement. And if you come in and also start talking about the things that we've already talked about, you can start a social forum. I mean, you guys are blessed with, you know, Facebook and Twitter and everything. And start a social forum and start thinking or doing things differently. I mean, what do you?
Well, yeah, that might work. But I mean, how many times would somebody tweet or, you know, comment on something political? I mean, if we get online, it's about, hey, this friend, it's been a while following this person. I'm commenting on fun I had somewhere else, and you know how it is. So, I mean, hardly would you find somebody saying, oh, Charlie, the elections, you know, it kind of didn't go well. I think we should try and, I mean, people will just come up and be like, hey, you know, if you want to do things, Charlie, find some place and pass. We were just in there, whatever happens. I mean, I'm going to finish school. My dad is this, he'll get me a place. I'm fine. I don't really care about you. I mean, once I'm fine, I'm fine. You know, it's like everybody is thinking about them. We kind of have become very self-conscious and all. So if I am fine, I'm okay.
No, you wanted to contribute?
I think he said it. I was going to say that even if in the long run he tries to put it there, nobody will comment. Not a single comment will you get.
But you see, if I put this on Facebook, right, and then I go, I mean, yesterday we were talking about the economic performance. I had 2 professors in here from your school. And then all the comments that were coming were from young people, and they were very angry because they thought I was attacking the president or was attacking the state. So I had to come back on there and explain that no, we're just looking at the economy. We've been using hose and cutlass since 1960. So if I complain about it today, it's got nothing to do with Mahama. He came to meet it. Probably he can try and see if we can get a bigger hole, you know, but it's not his fault, you know. So, but, you know, these were young people, and I thought, you know, they would see through it, but they didn't. You know, they really put a political color to this, the issue or the topic, and then go for the attack.
Yeah, that's the problem now we are facing in the country. Everything you say, everything you do, someone will interpret it to another political line. You know, when you, even if you're in a government and you talk against the president, within the party, they will try to pull you down. And if you are in opposition too and you talk against something that the opposition is doing, which is not good, your own members will vilify you. You know, that's the problem you are facing now. Nobody wants to own up. Nobody wants to accept the blame that, no, these things that we are doing are not right. We should rather change our mind and everything. But nobody seems to do it. Everything you say, everything you do, someone will tell you that you belong to this party or you belong to that party. I quite remember Reku Brobe was telling the MPP that going to court will not help the party. You see, people came out and said that he is getting something from the ruling government. That's why he is saying that. And last week, is it last week or this week, I heard this man, how do you call it? That man who has policy and evaluation, I've forgotten his name. He's part of the ruling government anyway. Yeah. He came out to talk about Tony Edu, yeah, thank you very much. He came out to talk about how and why the government has just forgotten about his outfit. And people came out to attack him, attack him in such a way that maybe he's not getting any money from the government or something like that. That's why he's saying that. But that's not the issue. The man is speaking to the fact. He's telling you that this and this and this and that we need to do, we are not doing it, and that is affecting us. But as soon as you say something, someone will try to bring you down. And it's tarnishing our image, and is kind of putting us down from airing our views. Everybody's afraid to talk, because if you talk, they will attack you. That's how I see it. So maybe in the future, we need to do away with all those things. When you go to other jurisdictions, I don't think it's like that. After elections, everything is gone about politics. We face the state, we face the economy, how we do it to help everybody in the society. But here in Ghana, it's not like that, and it's very, very worrying. So I think the youth and upcoming activists, those of us who want to join politics and all those things, we are taking a cue from all these things, and I think in the future we will do something better.
Well, now you guys are scaring me. Because I thought, this is going to firebrand and say, yes, we have about 1 million people on our Facebook page, and next time we're going to bring a third force, we're going to vote for a third force to go into parliament. But the way we're going is like the status quo.
Yeah, I think so. We'd love to have it the way you're putting it. I mean, to have so many people backing up. Even if you do, here's the case where, on social networks and those other places, people hardly use their real names. You have somebody who's called Slick Rick. Nobody's really called Slick Rick in the real world. And so if somebody like Slick Rick says, or makes a funny comment, I mean, you chase after him, you say anything you want to say, and doesn't really get anywhere because he's a nobody, in quote. But, they're not really real people. But where you have real people coming up with their faces to say, okay, I stand for this, I'm in favor of this, I want to do this. People are kind of laid back because, not necessarily because they're scared, but then, as you said, we're outnumbered in this. And so you are like, really is like 1 to how many people in favor of something and you are against it. It kind of tends to bring you down, make you sort of timid because what you're bringing to the table is not supported. So you put it out and they're like, okay, you just put it on the side. We'll get to that. But then you never really get to that. I believe those things that have been put on the side have really stacked up and we have a lot of things to deal with, but we hope we'll be able to deal with them.
Is it going to be possible in your generation or?
I don't think it will be possible. I have an example. When we're going to write our final year exam in the SHS, we realized that no, we don't think this thing will be possible because 2 batches writing at the same time. And when we are entering the university, definitely there was going to be a problem. So then my class decided to send letters to other schools. So then we sent to Botray, Infansipim, we sent to Ebri Girls, to Wesley Girls, to St. Peter's, Adisadel College, St. Augustine's, and surprisingly, no one replied our letters. And so then I realized that we can't do anything about some things.
So you were sending letters to sort of join hands and complain
And someone came up with this idea that what we are going to do isn't necessary. Because in the long run, if anything, I want to send a letter to the president's office, it will just be at the secretary's desk and nobody is going to read it. So then everybody was like, okay, if that's the case, then we should all just forget about it. So then we sent the letters, we didn't receive the reply, and we didn't follow up on it, and that was the end of it.
I'll take a break here and find out if viewers, especially the parents at home, are you panicking yet? Who are you going to leave the country to? We're coming back and the conversation continues. Well, hello and welcome back to the frightening perspective of the future of the nation in the eyes of our youth. And we're having a conversation. The fire is in there, but the question is, who starts it? That's been the conversation behind the scenes. They all want to change, but who's going to start it? The question is, if I start, is anybody going to follow? And that's the question. If I start, is anybody going to follow? Yeah. But I think Lee Kuan Yew said that, it's time for Africa to get a hungry youth who are desperate for change. And once it happens, because the resources are there in terms of manpower or whatever it is, everything is there. All we need is a hungry youth. The adults are, very hungry in a different direction. But you guys must be hungry for change. So that, like Prince is saying that, I don't want to go and, toe the same old line. I need to look out for somebody and bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. But if the question is, if I start, who said, Nana says, look, there's 2 batches going to write an exam. We know there's going to be problem. Let's write a letter, and people start discouraging that. No, forget it. If you write it, Enkosi baby, So, but it has to start. It has to start. So you guys have to be hungry. But you seem hungry enough. So why don't you start?
Well, I mean, it's not a problem. We could, but we've been brought up in a society where the adults are always right. I mean, in a sense, where those who are older than you are always right, no matter what it is. In other places, it's like you can really negotiate and come to an understanding. But here, your dad says it's this, then it's that. I mean, no matter what you say, you might be right. Even later on, he finds out you're right. No apology, nothing. Forget it. Just keep quiet and keep going. So we've come to really understand that, and we've come to live with that. And so even now, you try to put up a force, you try to put up an argument, and it's just like, it's not like they even give you a reply. It's just like, okay, you have no idea what you're talking about. We have the experience. We've been in it for a certain amount of time. We can manage stuff. I mean, it's kind of hard right now, but we'll get there. And then you're just forced to succumb, just understand, and then just keep quiet and shut down. So that's why nobody can really step up and say, okay, I want to do this. Because it's like, okay, that kind of, that kind of owning up and that kind of steadfast nature is actually attributed to, let me put it as, you're trying to be, not rude per se, but kind of, you're opposing authority. And people would see you as some kind of person and view you from a different perspective. So you just want to calm down and pray that somebody does start and the person really doesn't care about what people say. And then we have people who I'm sure would like to back, from probably behind the scenes.
No, so you finish your dentistry, you pass with flying colors, and you get your letter, and you open the letter, and it's this small village in the remotest part of Ghana. You drive, get somewhere, you need to catch a canoe and paddle over this lake, and then you get there, maybe there's about 10,000, 5,000 people there that you need to look after. Would you go?
Honestly speaking, I doubt if I would go.
See, but you need to play your part, for society.
That's how the whole Ghana has become. Because someone is giving national service to go somewhere, and her father has links at the office, so then definitely do 1, 2, 1, 2, and then the person is in Accra instead of being in some fanchinico place. I also think I'll do the same thing. I don't think I want to go somewhere very far, somewhere very lonely, conservative. I don't think I like that.
You see, and that's where Prince comes in, because he's going to be a politician. There should be a turning point where we bridge either the poor and the rich, or the rural and the urban. Yeah. There should be a turning point. And it seems to be the most difficult thing as to who turns it and at what point do we turn it.
Well, Prince says he's going to love to turn it, so I think we'll expect.
So I'll vote for you.
I think we all would, yeah.
We all vote for you. But, at what point do we turn it so that it doesn't always become like Kumasi, Accra, Takoradi, Cape Coast. Otherwise, you're doomed.
I think there's a saying that charity begins at home, and the education is the backrock of everything. So before we can achieve those objectives, we need to educate our people. If you educate the people, you've given them power to think for themselves, and you've given them power to do things on their own, to think through issues before they come up with any action, right? I think we can do something. We can do something. I thought before. I taught in a village near Begro, a very remote one, of course. Sometimes the taxis that take you there, in fact, you sit like 8, 10 in it. Some sit on the bonnet, and when it's raining, you don't even know whether you are sitting in the vehicle or not. It's very, very difficult. And here I was with my colleagues, young guys, and we were all in the village helping the people. Sometimes we go out there to talk to the parents, how to care for their wars, take their educations very, very seriously, And it worked. Somehow it worked. But, change doesn't come easily. It takes time, So if our parents can help us, or they can groom us right from the start at home, where they listen to us. When we bring our view, they will not shut you down. As Ernest said, when you talk, nobody listens to you. The elders are always right. And that is one thing that is affecting us a lot. If we're able to control that kind of action at home, it will generate into our schools, then into society. Everything will work for us. And I also want to emphasize on the rules that are in society which we need to follow. I think the laws that are meant for us, we are not following them. When you go to the institutions, they are not working. You go to the public places, they are not working. Everywhere, everybody is just trying to devise something for him or herself at the moment, just to feel comfortable and leave the scene, forgetting about those who will be coming later, and what they really want them to be, how they want them to be. And I think it's very, very worrying. But as I said, we those upcoming ones, I think we can do something in the future.
You have to. Ernest, you're doing animal biology, so veterinary or?
Yeah.
This is one thing I've always been scared to say is animal rights. I've always been scared to mention it. Because then again they say, where are the human rights, let alone you going to fight for animal rights? And it's one thing that I think we really, really fall short of. If you see them carting the cattle, from one place to the other, and they are tied and bundled at the back of, the pickup as if they did something wrong, but it's like you can't even have a forum to say that, at least just treat this cow with some dignity. At least it didn't do anything wrong. Within your veterinary, has it ever come up, or it's not something that you touch on?
Oh, we do talk about it. We do have certain arguments about it, and surprisingly, we don't really have a lot of vegans in my class, and so everybody eats meat. So it kind of gets difficult when you're arguing, because we all like a certain kind of meat. Like somebody likes cow meat, beef. Somebody likes pork. Somebody likes chicken. We all like chicken. And so it kind of becomes a problem. When you're arguing, you talk about pork a lot because, in Islam, people don't really take pork. And other religions don't really mind. You can take any kind of meat. So when you talk about animal rights, it's like, okay, treat the animal with what respect, take a little bit to, take more care of the animal, and then probably if you want to do anything, you do it in a much nicer way and probably more, I don't want to use humane, but
sharp and quick, minimum pain.
Yeah, to the animal. But here's the case where, as you said, human beings are suffering. As we say in our local dialect, somebody hasn't eaten, and you're talking about animals. Like, we're living in a hard time. Somebody hasn't really gotten anything for their kids and stuff. They have a cow, they have a few, fowls around, they have a pig. And we're talking about getting food to eat. All we know is we just whip them around, get a stick or something, get the head, and then it's gone. We kill it, we have something to eat. And we sit down and chat as a family. And surprisingly, everybody is okay because we're satisfied. But we don't really sit down to think about how, you know, the animal, should I say, felt, or how it went down with the animal. I mean, nobody thinks about that. Am I
See,
wrong?
I'm just trying to find out how we can build our society to the point where we've looked after ourselves so well that now
We can actually-
we want to treat animals okay, rather than be so stressed and hungry, and you know, people going to sleep without food, and so you dare not go and knock on his door and say, look, can you treat that goat well when he hasn't eaten and he's going to sleep? You know, how do we treat this society to get to that stage where we look after ourselves, and especially people with like mental illness and stuff can also fall into the bracket where we need to care for them?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the only thing pertaining to animal rights, as you said, that's going on now is something. I mean, you have a committee on biosafety, which was formed at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, because I worked there for a while, and they have that biosafety because they don't really agree with us trying genetic engineering on animals, because it would be kind of scary to. Probably I like pork and I like chicken. So if I give you a certain piece of meat that is a chicken but tastes like pork, how many people are going to actually eat it? Or I like pig feet, and so I give you a chicken with pig feet. That's kind of scary on the market. People won't purchase it. But if you have rice. We're working on rice. You have rice, and rice gives you most often carbohydrate, but then we need a lot of vitamin A. So we inculcate vitamin A into the rice. I mean, you don't see it. So it's simpler with crops, but with animals it's kind of scary. So that's the only thing that's really taking place right now. But pertaining to our society, looking after, you know, those who are less privileged, we haven't really gotten, I think, I mean, funny to say, we're probably going to get there in a few years to come, because the elite in the country are taking very good care of themselves. So maybe in a little while they'd be satisfied and then look down upon some of us and give us some aid.
The poultry industry and cattle industry, these are two areas which I think we can do it with the expertise and with, you know, guys like you on the market. We can do it. As part of your class, are you just doing the biology where, you know, chop it up and take the disease out, or are you looking at the economic aspect as well, you know, in animal biology?
Oh, well, we look at everything. I mean, we look at from the nutrition right down to the, you know, the packaging and the marketing. We have checked out all those, but we don't really, you know, take time to study the packaging and the marketing aspect. We mostly dwell on, as you said, the diseases and the problems we have, you know, in the cattle. Looking at that vis-a-vis the marketing, I think the marketing is actually on a down scale. But it would be really, I mean, I think it would be better if we actually focused on that, because sometimes people wouldn't really want to take in cow meat because he's seen a cow somewhere, and, you know, we don't really have experts taking care of cattle. We have this guy who hasn't been to school before, he doesn't have anything doing, and his uncle says, Kofi, please pick up the stick and take the cattle for grazing. So he just holds the stick and he's whistling and he's just, you know, hitting them anyhow, and they're running all around, and, you know, and if somebody sees that and he sees them all dirty, you watch movies and we see cattle outside and they're all white. You know, our lecturers even bring pictures of cattle and they're white, you know, white and black, brown, and but you actually go for a practical lesson and you see our cattle here and you're amazed. They are looking all skinny and hungry, and you can count their ribs. I mean, that's not something you can really package and sell. So I think if we actually look at that aspect, it would help.
It will help,
a lot.
yeah. Nana, I want some hope before my show ends. And you guys are my hope, so I'm going to go around. So you need to give us hope. You have to do something different. You can't do what we are doing. You can't. It's absolutely impossible. So you need to give us hope. You need to make us a promise. And every month I'm going to tell the producer to bring you guys back on so that we start our own little campaign as to how we're going to do things differently.
Yeah.
How can we do things differently?
See, yes, as Ernest said, we can take the initiative and do it, but then if we don't get enough backing, I think definitely I'll stop, because I don't see why I should start something, nobody will follow me, and I'm still rooting for it. But then I'll say, let us allow. We are in Ghana. Let things move the way they want to move. I don't see why I should care for cattle. It's meat. Chicken is meat. In the long run, I'll kill it. Why should I worry about it? That's what I think, anyways.
My brother, the politician. if somebody came to you and says, "Oh, rate our democracy," 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, what figure would you give it?
Currently, I would say we are in between. We are not low, neither are we high, because
5.
As in marks.
Yeah, I mean 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest.
Oh yeah, 5.
You raise your 5.
Yeah,
No,
5.
what would you raise our democracy now?
Question before I answer. Democracy meaning where people in the public can talk, or democracy mean the whole democracy as a whole, where I talk, I'm listened to, and my views are accepted.
Yeah, what you talking, you listen to, and then.
Well, I'll take it as a 4/10, because I don't see any improvements when, like a show like this, and maybe comments come in. Definitely, some people in authority will see it, but then nothing is done about it, and we are still where we are. So then, I'll give them 4/10. They don't do well.
What would you give us, the democracy?
I think I'd give us a 9.
You give us a 9, yeah?
Yeah, because I think, yeah, she's right about you, speaking your mind, your views coming out, people accepting it. But I don't think democracy goes as far as, what you say being put into action. I think for our country, how we've actually defined our democracy is people being able to speak their mind, their views being able to come out, people being able to hear them and keeping stuff at bay. But going as far as doing them, I don't think that's included in Ghana's democracy. And as far as now,
Nana disagrees. Nana
I
disagrees with
disagree
it.
with you, because
Okay.
everywhere democracy, we are not looking at democracy defined by Ghana. We are looking at democracy as a whole.
As a whole.
And so when internationally they are rating us, they don't say Ghana's democracy. No, it's democracy and it's democracy. And democracy has been defined. So we can't just take one aspect of democracy and say you're rating them on that one. No, you're looking at the whole thing. They've done a part of it well, but then the other part is almost 0/10. Then when you're striking the average, what do you get?
Okay, so probably I am taking that aspect and rating it. Okay, so in our overall sense, but as of now, we have been actually, we're actually called a beacon of democracy in, part of the world. Not because we're doing what we're supposed to do,
Because
but
we don't
because
like fighting.
that's what I am trying to say. That things are actually, they come up, we listen, we hear, nothing is done about it, but nobody
Because
fights
Ghanaians
about
are
it.
scared.
Okay, so that's why I gave it a high rating.
Is that
I
not
don't
our
agree.
danger? Well, they're not going to do anything, so let's just leave it.
Everybody talks.
I think that is
Yeah.
rather better.
No, you said in the intro, in the beginning about the demonstration,
Yeah.
where PPP calls people, look, there's too much corruption, come and join hands, let's just go and say enough is enough. Nobody turns up.
Yeah, the moderate way of doing it, I think is okay, rather than the radical one, when you take up arms and all those things to fight, as it's happening in Egypt, Syria, and all those countries. They are just killing each other. That is not democracy.
Maybe we don't have to kill each other, but drag them all to court. The courts,
Yeah,
they seem to be scared with the courts.
Dragging them to court to, that's what I'm saying, that the perception is there that if you're in government, it means you own everything. You have authority over everything. So you go to court and nothing happens. How many people have been taken to court and you hear something positive out of it? Few. So it's not working. It's not working. You take opposition member to court and they will say that is vilification.
Witch hunting.
Witch hunting. You take a party member to court and the people will come against you and all those things. So everybody is afraid. So the institutions are not working. Obama once said that Africa, we don't need strong men. We need strong institutions.
Yeah, to work.
Yeah, if
Well,
you follow
guys,
the leader rules, it will
All
help
too
us.
soon, that's what time allows. I've enjoyed the conversation, even though you scared me, absolutely petrified. But I need to get them in at least once a month to see if the views are changing and what we can all do. But I've been talking to Prince Amponsa Safori, who's a sociology student, level 400, and Nana Ofori Kakari, who's a dental surgery student, level 100, and an Ernest Ayi Kumi, animal biologist, also level 400. Her name is Nana Sakwa. And I must say my outfit is designed by Tanti's Fashion in Airport. So if you think it was good looking, give them a call. I think the number is scrolling on the screen. And as I say, tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. It's Personality Profile, and we're speaking to Major General Anidoho, very insightful, brave soldier who went to Rwanda, and he's talking about Professor Awudo.